For today's podcast, I'd like for us to look at the book of Esther. And when I think of Esther, I think of the song For Such a Time as This. Um, Due to copyright, I'm not going to actually play that right on here because it is a kind of a modern song. But if you're on YouTube, then you can just go in and type Maranantha singers for such a time as this, and it'll come right up, and you'll be able to listen to For Such a Time as This. Esther is a unique story in the Bible, and it has important ramifications for us today and in our callings as we continue to live out the lives for which we have been called. So, in looking at the book of Esther, I'm going to refer to some of the devotionals I wrote about the book of Esther in my book, Deep and Wide. And I'll be looking specifically at the devotionals for July 15th and July 16th that I wrote on page 336 and 337. Now, the story of Esther is kind of important. Esther was being raised by her cousin Mordecai, so I'm assuming her cousin would have been older and grown, much more like you would think of a grandfather or an uncle, but it was her cousin Mordecai. And they lived during the time after Babylon had captured the kingdom of Judah and carried off the princes like Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego into Babylon. And what we find happening after that is Persia then captures Babylon. And one of the king's leaders, his name was Haman, saw all these leftover Israelites or leftover Jews from the kingdom of Judah. And he wasn't happy with all of these strays just in their country. Because we're not responsible for this. Babylon captured Judah, destroyed it, and then carried off their people into their lands. And now that we've taken over Babylon, we have these strays here in our country, and we don't want them here. And so Haman began to devise a plan in order to exterminate all of the Jews from their area. Just kill them all and we'll just be done with them. We don't want these immigrants here. Let's just get rid of them. It's not our fault they're here, but they're here. So let's just rid ourselves of this horrible atrocity. And so that was the plan. But there was a monkey wrench in his plan, and that turned out to be Queen Esther, because Queen Esther was actually a Jew. And at the time the king chose her to be his queen, she was flying under the radar. She was a very beautiful woman by their standards, I guess. And so she was picked as the most beautiful of all the eligible virgins to be the next queen. And so when the king chose her as his queen, he didn't know that he had chosen a Jewish woman. And so Mordecai went to his niece, the queen, not his niece, went to his cousin, the queen, and said, here's what Naaman's plan is. He's going to wipe out all of our people. And if he gets his plan in place, that even includes us. And being queen isn't going to save you, but you have an opportunity to make a difference and save our people. And so She did. She did. And she made a difference. So I'd like to share just a little bit. And I encourage you to read the story of, uh, of Esther. And if you have my book, Deep and Wide, I encourage you to read all of the devotionals that I wrote for the book of Esther, which in the yearly journey, it's intended to be the study for July 15th through the 19th. The story was written probably around the year 465 BCE and probably was written by Mordecai. Okay, so from the second chapter of Esther, we kind of get the story of how the king found Esther to be more beautiful than any other women that were presented to him. And she had not revealed that her nationality and family background, because her cousin had told her, yeah, don't do that. So here's my writings on page 336. King Xerxes was the son of King Darius. When he was looking for a new queen, he had the most beautiful virgins gathered, and he picked Esther. He did not know it, but Esther was a Jew and was formerly from the kingdom of Judah before Babylon captured and destroyed much of their lands. Had her nationality and background been known, she would not likely have continued to be placed before the king as an option for his selection. God can use any of us. It doesn't matter who our families are. It does not matter what gender, race, or ethnicity we are. It does not matter if we are an immigrant in the land in which we live. Everyone has value and can be of use to God. And then for July 16th on page 337, I focused on the scripture found in Esther chapter 4, verse 14. For if you remain silent at this time, at the time I wrote this, we weren't living in a period of the darkness and terribleness that has become the United States of America in the year 2025. But this is a very powerful scripture in light of our lives right now. For if you remain silent at this time, now is not the time to remain silent. Okay, and so here's my writings on page 337. Because at that time, at the time that I wrote this, I could not have even imagined what the failures of our country would become in 2025. Esther was in the right place at the right time. How could it be that an exiled immigrant Jew would become the queen of Persia, the wife of King Xerxes? Haman, a trusted man in the court of King Xerxes, had a plan to exterminate all the Jews. When they captured and destroyed Babylon, they inherited all the stray Jews that had been scattered among their midst. Haman nor King Xerxes knew that the queen was a Jew from former Judah. Esther had been raised by her cousin Mordecai, and he told her that she had to do something to stop Haman's plan. Esther was scared. Mordecai pressured her by telling her that she could not just remain silent to try and save herself. Esther had a moment in time where she had an opportunity to make a difference. We also encounter moments where we have opportunities to change the outcome. We must use our moments. Esther had a moment, and Esther used her moment. In the next few weeks and months and years, you're going to have a moment. Are you going to use your moment? Again, I encourage you to find the song on YouTube by Maranantha, for such time as this. The lyrics go like this: for such a time as this, for such a time as this, we've been summoned here by God for such a time as this. We will not be silent. We will not hold back. And by God's grace, we will rise up for such a time as this. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast.